Sound check, sound check, sound check.
Sound check. It's all good. I sound clear. I don't sound like I'm in a tunnel.
All right.
Can you hear
Do
me
we
breathing?
have heavy breathing? All right, we good to go.
Good evening and welcome to CanHammer, your stop for Warhammer 40,000 from the Great White North. Today's show is episode 176. Boom.
176.
It feels like I haven't been on in a very long time.
We cast it last week.
No,
Oh no,
you
no,
cast it
you.
last
Oh yeah,
week.
you missed it last week. That's right. It's just me and Yoshi waxing lyrical about ITC missions.
Well, we tried to record that episode. 175, we tried 3 times to record, but it never happened.
Yeah, yeah. But no, we got it. We got it eventually, and then I went to record it, and then it didn't record. So
Brutal, yeah. Well, we ended up just ripping it from YouTube, but that's pretty funny. Yeah, it's always interesting when I'm like not on an episode because I'm like, what are they talking about? Okay, so this episode's going to be all about kind of hobby goals and just some things that we've been working on. It's a new ITC season. There's a new kind of CanHammer team thing we're doing, so we're going to kind of go through, what we've been up to. We've both been kind of changing up what we've been playing to a little bit or wanting to play because I haven't really been playing that much. But as usual, I'm your host, Chris. I am at CanHammer Chris on Twitter and Instagram. So please follow me there. And I am joined by my co-host.
I'm Darren, and we are canhammer.yt on Instagram, which is also Andrew and you, I think, Chris. Do you post on that one?
So sometimes, if it's like, if I'm painting like an orc unit, I'll just post it on mine. But if I'm doing something that's like kind of generic, I'll do both.
Okay.
I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like it doing both, and sometimes I don't. It is
Yeah,
what
it's
it is.
weird.
And actually, sometimes the button shows up in Instagram. Sometimes you can just be like, oh, post on both accounts, and sometimes the button just doesn't work. So I don't know why or how, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it is weird. Sometimes, yeah, you're right. Like sometimes it does this thing, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. So what have you been up to in the last couple weeks, hobbying?
Yeah, I've been figuring out that painting yellow is hard.
So are you actually painting those bikes?
Yeah, dude, it's me.
Because I thought that you hired somebody to paint those bikes, and then I saw you posting as like, oh, I decided to paint this yellow, and I was like, is he reposting a post from his painting service and pretending that he's painting these things?
No, man, no, it's one of my hobby goals this year, which we'll talk about. But I've been painting these other bikes, yellow, yeah, I'm actually. It took me like 4 weeks of planning before I actually put any paint on them. Like watching videos and accumulating supplies and planning it and experimenting on like an old Terminator, and like literally took me like 4 weeks to actually before I had the guts to start putting paint on these bikes. So it's been quite a interesting, actually pretty fun hobby project so far.
You should do like take screen door material and put it on the bike like sideways, like diamonds, and spray it like gray.
Screen spray gray.
Well, or you could have you should sprayed the bike's hoods because you sprayed them all yellow. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying this is something that I wanted to try, and I haven't done it yet. Burton used to do this a lot. For those that don't know, he's like one of the best painters around for a while there. I think he won a lot of painting awards with the Zeldar. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you take like screen door. So you would spray your bike gray, and then you would like turn the screen door sideways because no, it's all squares.
Yeah.
So they're like diamonds, or you can get different like I guess sizes, and then you would tape it on the bike, and then you would spray it with your airbrush yellow, and then you'd pull it off, and then you'd have like a yellow checker pattern, and then you go over with the brush and edge it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to checker it because these aren't Harlequins or anything, although I do have Harlequins to paint. But yeah, no, I just wanted to do like a nice, solid yellow, which is surprisingly difficult. I think it was 9 coats of yellow in the end on each bike to get a nice yellow.
Yeah, it's challenging. And because you started with a black too, right?
No, I started white, but I put magenta into the shadowed areas.
Oh, okay.
And the magenta I used was pretty strong, unfortunately, even though I diluted it. The other thing I've been doing is using inks, spraying inks, which is really cool. and so I just needed to do more and more coats of yellow to dull the magenta. And so I just kept putting on coats until I was happy with it. And of course, the pro with airbrush is you can just put as many coats as you want. It doesn't really take the details or anything away. So it was just a labor of love that was getting that yellow right. And then now I'm painting black, and like I'm so careful not to get any black on the yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. But
Well, that'll be good when you're done.
hopefully it's gonna be good. It looks pretty
So
good right now.
how many hours have you sunk into those 10 warlocks on bike then?
It's 12, because I have also like a Farseer and a separate Warlock. But
Yes.
it's been a couple of weeks now of almost every day, like an hour or two, doing stuff on them, masking and spraying, and then unmasking, and then masking something else, and it takes a while. It takes a while. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. So I guess, is there anything else?
No, I've been busy building the Discord, and had a game finally last night. I just realized last night how long it's been since I actually played, because leading up to CanHammer Team, I was hosting games in my basement, but I wasn't playing. So I think it must have been at least 6 weeks since I actually played a game. So it was nice to play again last night.
Rusty.
Yeah, it was a great game. People should watch it. It was a little bit of a master class on wrapping. Managed to pull out a big victory against a pretty hard shooting tank list. So yeah, it was good. Good.
If you don't know rapping by now, you're in trouble. Don't even bother learning it. New edition in June.
That's kind of true. Hopefully it won't change anything like that, but it might. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess on to my hobby. I've been getting kind of more into trying to maybe paint a bit more, build a bit more. The orcs were getting a little bit tiresome because you're like, oh, I need like 40 more boys, and I need to build this and build that. And so I was having a little bit of the orc burnout. And so after Andrew Gagno's success with his Sisters of Battle army, I was like, yeah, I have a Sisters of Battle army sitting in my basement that I painted 1,000 points for Adepticon like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I played in 5th edition with in my Astra Militarum force, which was Imperial Guard back then, believe it or not. So I was like, okay, I know that I had tons of models because I bought a few lots and things. And my buddy Juan from Toronto, he sold me a large Sisters of Battle army way back when because he wasn't really using them. But he had spray bombed them all like a thick red spray paint. I don't know what brand, but it wasn't like nothing crazy. It was before GW had colors.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll dig all these guys out and I'll assemble a Sisters army. So one thing is when you're preparing a new list, sometimes you don't always know like what, like when you get a codex book like Sisters and you read it, you're like, you kind of get what it's doing and you see what other people are doing. You're like, oh, this is neat. But until you actually have to assemble models with the correct weapons, that's when you're like, I need to know exactly which guns, which arms, which characters I need to build, what I need.
Yeah.
And so I had that new Sisters box and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just build this weekend for fun. But then I looked at it, I said, well, I don't know which weapons I need, things like that. So I should start by building all my old stuff, do the inventory, do a list, and then I'll get to that new Sisters box that I purchased. So I go in my closet. I'm like, okay, Sisters are a horde army. Let's hope I can get to like 50 models. So I'm digging them out. And I got to like 150 or something crazy. I had 36 Sisters of Battle metal ones with storm bolters.
Oh, man.
Which is awesome because you need like 36 of them. So
100. Oh, man. You and your hordes, Chris. I mean, oh.
Yeah, it's gross. So anyway, a lot of people probably don't work with metal models too much anymore if you're listening, if you're a GW fanboy. So I had a whole bunch of these ones that were red. So I had to cut all the bases off, drop them in lacquer thinner, strip them, toothbrush, piss off the in-laws that were visiting because it smells like chemicals upstairs in the laundry room and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, yeah, I got them all fully assembled, spray primed, rebased to 32s. So I'm up to like quite a bit. I think I'm at around 200 models fully assembled.
Oh, God.
And you want to know the crux of it? So I made my army list. I didn't need that new box of Sisters.
You
Yeah,
mean
they're
the battle
still on
box?
sprue. The battle box still on sprue. I only built the one Canoness just for variety.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're actually still unassembled. So that's the long story short is I wanted to build this battle box, but then what I did prior to it, I don't actually need it. So that's
Well,
kind of
I
pathetic.
feel you about the hobby burnout. Like, I haven't painted half as many models as you have, but I've been painting gold solidly for about 2 years, and I still have more gold to paint. And there's two new guys coming out this week, and God knows what. And so I'm like, okay, I need to paint something else other than gold. And that's when this Eldar inspiration happened. I'm like, okay, this kind of meshes perfectly. New army, new hobby goals, completely non-gold, and that was the inspiration to really take up the Eldar as a hobby goal and a playing goal. But so yeah,
Yeah, and it's great. Like the Sisters were nice because I don't have a long term goal with them. I just wanted to assemble them so that if somebody wanted to like play with them, I could lend them out. I could, because they're not really painted, so it's like who cares? Even though they're metal, like you could drop them. And then if like I wanted to proxy game, have one for the channel. I know they're not pretty, but just to have them available. And it was like sometimes like if you're tired, assembling is just like relaxing because you
yeah,
can watch TV, you can put on like some Star Trek or some
yeah.
football or whatever. Football's over, go Chiefs. But
Assembling is super therapeutic.
yeah, scraping mold lines and working with metal models. You actually, I used to think metal models were like the be all end all, and I miss them. Now I don't think I miss them as much. The amount of mold lines and flashing you got to scrape off is pretty gross.
Yeah,
Kind of frustrating. But so doing that Sisters assembly project didn't really solve my hobby burnout. So I've been watching a lot of these like YouTube videos and I was kind of getting into that. Why am I burned out on the hobby? And I think it's because I've been like not necessarily finishing a lot of projects. I've been building, assembling whole like armies and painting 3 colors on whole armies and pumping out units and that. But I've never actually sat down and just like batch painted or finished something. The
yeah.
last time I did was my Blood Bowl team, which was a couple months ago now. And I remember feeling like super proud and super like excited that I got the team fully ready with the display board. And I was even doing like almost craving to do more work on it and painting balls and doing all the stuff for it. So the other night I kind of sat and I said, I'm going to pick 9 orcs that I need to be finished and I'm going to finish them. And so I sat down, I finished 9 orcs and it kind of really rejuvenated me as well. So
Yeah, yeah, it's important to finish things. I mean, that's why I haven't started the GSE because I don't want to start them until I know I can finish them. And the Sylvaneth army I've given to Nick to paint because he really wanted to paint them. And because I'm like, I'm never getting to that army, I'm not going to bother starting it. If
yeah.
Nick wants to paint them, he can paint the whole army. And I'll just focus on Eldar and the odd gold thing that comes in. So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's really easy to lose sight of
really easy.
like which the amount of plastic crack you're piling up in your closet and you lose sight of what your kind of the enjoyment of the hobby when you're trying to get competitive and you just want to pump stuff out. And I guess the worst decision I ever made was being like, I'm just going to 3-color stuff and play it and then I'll work on it later. I never used to do that. Back in I played fantasy, I used to always finish my armies, even though they aren't necessarily the nicest, but I used to fully complete them and I would never bring stuff. I'd actually compromise my list. Whereas now I won't do that. I'll like paint something and wash it, and then I'll finish. I'll be like, I'll finish it later. And I find that's just wearing on me. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
So one of the other things I planned for myself, so one of my hobby goals this year was to get good at the airbrush. So I've been using almost exclusively the Sotar to get really good at close in fine airbrushing. Using it to spray inks is just amazing. It's so nice. And if people are interested in using inks with airbrushing, check out Marco Frazzoni on YouTube. He's been the inspiration for all the stuff I've been doing. Such a good channel, really good videos. Unfortunately, like all of these videos, they make it look really easy when it's not. But
yeah.
even in the last few weeks, I've gotten so much better with the airbrush and efficiency and like even stuff like cleaning and turnover of colors, and it's been really good. But one of my goals was to actually try and paint one really nice model with like OSL and everything like done properly. So after the Eldar army, I'm gonna I think I'm gonna do Gotrek actually, and
Oh,
just try and
nice.
copy. Marco has a video on him painting OSL Gotrek. I want to just try and copy that and see how good I can make it, just by going step by step with the video as a real hobby project. I don't have dwarves or anything. I just think it's a cool model, and I was thinking of doing that for Eldred actually for my Eldar army. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, there's this really wicked podcast called Trapped Under Plastic, and it's all about like painting. And they're just painters. Like I don't even the one guy I think plays Age of Sigmar, but the other guy doesn't even I don't think plays at all. Just paints models, and he has a YouTube channel called Miniac, which is pretty good.
Oh yeah, I know that one, Miniac. Yeah.
Yeah, so like their podcast is Trapped Under Plastic, and it's they did an episode kind of like is the airbrush cheating, and I used to think that. I used to think the airbrush was cheating when I'd see like airbrushed armies back in the day. I'd be like, oh, like it's probably too easy. And then I started airbrushing, and it's actually like it takes years or months anyway to get up
It's not
like
easy.
the skill with it. It takes just as long to get the muscle memory and the mix ratios and
Yeah.
of all your paint and where to spray it and what needles and how to clean it. Like that's a skill in its own. It's just another tool in the toolbox, right? So
Yeah, like it's easy just to like prime something with an airbrush, sure, but it's probably easier just to spray can them. But like to actually paint something properly with airbrush is really hard.
yeah,
As I'm
it's
discovering.
yeah, and there's lots of all these different crazy techniques, and and if one of the cool things that they mentioned was like if you can tell it was airbrushed, then the guy that you're doing something wrong, right? Because you're always supposed to go over it with the brush and weathering, and it shouldn't really look like you might know it's airbrushed, but it shouldn't like look from a distance airbrushed, which is cool.
The other thing now I'm taking on from Marco is using oil paints for
Oh, because they don't
washes,
dry.
to make washes, and also to do this kind of blending technique for highlights, which he did on his most recent Imperial Fist video, is really cool. I'm just waiting for my White Spirit to arrive, and I'm gonna try that out on the bike. So just trying all these new things has really kind of brought the interest back into painting these things, and then so it's been really cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Is like so with the orcs, I have the painting scheme. It's like 6 years old, and I want them to match. So it's like this is how I paint an orc, and like I can't reinvent that because it would just look stupid, right? Even though it might look better than my current army. And so I look around, and I have so many armies that are already started, right? That have 2,000 points, 1,000 points, 1,500 points, and so I'm at this point where if I want to do like, as you mentioned, like a really nice model, or I want to do a really nice army, I almost have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
Just like if I want to really get out of my comfort zone and paint something really well, I'm gonna have to just go in a completely new direction. And so that's something that I guess we can just do our hobby goals. That this year I would like to do something completely different, like maybe a Blood Bowl team, but go like full ham on it and make it, to the best of my ability. Because I would say right now I don't paint anything to the best of my ability. I just paint it to like
Get them on the table.
pretty good.
Meet
yeah.
the rubric.
Meet the rubric. It's decent. Looks good from far. Don't look too close. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing because the Eldar was a clean start. I don't have any Eldar models, so this was like a total clean start. And it involves the bikes, but also involves Harlequins, and so it's gonna be interesting. And I'm like, I want to get it on the table, but I'm like, they're not ready, they're not ready. So yeah, so it's been nice to actually take up a new army for that.
Yeah, and plus like you play custodians. Custodians are kind of boring. I know that's like our target audience right now, but they're like their unit, like they don't have a very diverse unit selection, right?
Yeah.
So it's like once you've painted 3,000-4,000 points of custodians, which is like 30 models, you're kind of sitting there like it's kind of like the new Grey Knights, right? Like there's not that many different boxes to purchase and paint. So, you're not going to have this like depth of experimenting and cool choices and moving on. You're going to do like a 2,000 point Grey Knight army. You're going to have 20 paladins and like 6 units of strike squads and like, 4 to 6 characters and you're done. Yeah. Whereas like, that's the thing I love about the orcs is like, oh, I'll paint orcs with jetpacks. I'll paint mech guns. I'll paint vehicles. I have a Stompa that I want to do one day. So they kind of have that diversity, which is neat. So I kind of think like, yeah, it'd be nice to get a project that also has like for your Eldar, you have kind of that depth, right? You could pick up some striking scorpions. You're like, I don't want to paint yellow anymore. I don't need to. I could paint them green, and you could paint, Banshees different color if you want, and
Yeah.
even the Harlequins, right? Like you can paint the units all different, and
Oh,
so
I
I think
got this crazy idea for the Harlequins, and I have no idea how to pull it off.
what's that?
So I don't want to just paint like the motley and the checks. A, I don't think I can do that, and B, I don't really like that look, like the whole clown thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm taking inspiration from the Stratagem prismatic blur
Okay.
and the fact that they can flip around and move really fast. So I want to make like, have you ever seen those Tau models, those stealth suits, where it looks like there's like a camouflage line going up, and like the bottom of the leg is like the same as the base, and then the top is, and then there's like a transition zone that they paint. Have you seen those kind of pictures?
Yeah, yeah.
I want
Where it's like a half. It's like they've pressed a button.
Yeah,
and there's
and they
almost
turn
like
on
a
the
force
camouflage.
field that's like stealthing them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I want to do that, but front to back, because they're running forward, and the front is like, black or blue or whatever, and then the back is like multicolored blur. I don't know. I don't know how to pull.
Or
that
do
off.
do like a flat black on the front,
Yeah.
and then do them normal on the just be like, yeah, the nose is going faster than light, so they're just black.
Yeah, so I have no idea how to pull that off. That's going to be the last part.
That might not look good.
It might not look good. It might just look like shit. But yeah, so who knows? I got these ideas, but no idea how to pull them off. But yeah.
Okay, so I guess like let's just do. You want to do a short term goal, like a next episode hobby goal, and then we'll do a long term hobby goal, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
So what's your next step? What are you gonna have done by next episode?
By next episode,
Next week?
I don't think I'm gonna have anything done. Hopefully, I'm gonna have most of the bikes mostly done.
No, hopefully. Just what are you gonna be at? You're just
My
gonna work
brother's
on your
coming this
bike.
weekend. I don't got time. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
gonna
he's
keep
gonna-
working on my other bikes. Yeah.
Cool. By next show, I want to have both my shock attack guns fully highlighted, and I want to start the last 40 boys I own.
The shock attack guns that you already have.
Yeah, well, I didn't do the detail work on
okay.
that I want to get done on them. I want to do them better.
Okay. That's fair.
Yep. Cool. So, and then my long-term goal is I want to get some paint. I want to finish the Orc Army.
Will it ever be finished? That's the question.
I think I could be pretty close. I got 20 mega knobs half done. I got 30 grots to assemble, and then I have 30 storm boys, some tank bustas, and then I'm pretty much done.
I guess you'll know better after your book comes out.
We'll see.
How soon you will be finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
my
gotta
book
get ready.
hasn't come out yet, so oh god.
Gotta get ready for Adepticon.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, are you allowed to reveal what you guys are doing for Adepticon team, or it's a secret?
Well, why do people want to know?
I don't know. People the inquiring minds want to know, man.
Like who? Call them out. Who's been asking you
Like
what we're
me
taking?
mostly.
Oh, it's just you? I don't think it's good. So this year we're not going to go for the 4-man Adepticon team. That's kind of our jam, but we're not going to go as crazy as years past. We're not doing the like a 10 repulsor list like we did last year. So I think we're going to do something that's not going to really surprise anybody or be that unique. So
Okay. Who's the team?
Okay.
Same people?
yeah, same people: Kieran, Will, myself, and Jason.
All right.
And I'm actually full disclosure, I'm not painting for the 40K team event.
Oh, really?
I'm not doing anything. I was kind of a jerk this year. I said like, I've did enough. I've done enough over 10 years. I need a break this year. I got orcs to paint.
And you're doing AOS's 4-man teams this year, right?
Yeah, so that's a different animal because none of us really play OS anymore. I really still like it. I follow it. I kind of play the Fire Slayers. They still do quite well for me, like every once in a while, very rarely. But I don't really know all the intricacies and combos and what's really good at 1,000 points and what mixes like I kind of do at the 40K. So it's kind of weird. I'm intrigued by some of the new Zinch stuff, like doing like maybe like a Screamer army or something like that. But they've really heavily restricted the Age of Sigmar team tournament, so you can't duplicate War Scrolls that aren't battle line. So if you're going to do all the same faction, you need to essentially swap up the units, and very few factions have like diverse unit spread that can go across 4 armies.
Yeah.
And also because you can duplicate battle line, factions with really good battle line obviously are more effective, right?
Yeah.
Because you could just take them across all four and they'll work well together. The other thing is like the abilities, the army wide abilities. So I forget what the exact term is for the Zinch ones, but for the Fire Slayers, like the lodges, they have like the 4 different lodges. You can only take one of those per player, like per army. So you need to, if you want to do the same book across the 4 of you, you need
4 different
a
lodges.
book that has 4 different lodge or lodge equivalents that are all very good, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the weird thing, right? Like my initial thought was it'd be really awesome to do just all Terrorgeists, but you can't do it because the only only Gristlegore can have Terrorgeist as battle line,
Yeah.
but then you can't carry them across the 4 of you.
Yeah. Yep.
So that one's kind of tough. So if anybody knows anything, hook a brother up. But
Who's on your team for AOS?
say it's the same team. We're going down.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
That's
So
interesting. Kieran plays AOS?
he has played. He played actually for Team CanHammer at the AOS War Masters last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So like he'll figure it out. That guy likes to win games. He figures stuff out. He just. But yeah, I don't know. I'll probably spoil it closer to the time if once
But
we
you're
get it
not
figured
going
out.
bent like 10 repulsors.
Well, we're going bent for 40K. Yeah, we're for sure taking something that we think we can win with. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about what's really good right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple things. What's fresh, and then look at my teammates and go, oh, what armies do these guys own? That's really fresh and really good right now, and you could probably figure it out for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry for the non-answer. So anyway, you want to thank the sponsors?
Oh, yeah. So thanks to our sponsors, Dan Dillon at Red Dragon, and David Testaminis, and Martin at Dyson Decks, and Hoyt up at Thunder Games and Gifts, and all our patrons and subscribers, and YouTube followers, and special shout out to the Discord, and to the newly forming CanHammer team. Should we talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So it's kind of neat. We've always had CanHammer's always been an open team since we founded it when the ITC started having club rankings. We kind of just like there wasn't a lot of Canadians traveling to big events, so we kind of just hey, anybody that wants to play for it could, and now there's lots more teams and better teams and worse teams and whatever. But if you're interested in kind of being affiliated with us, we're very open. We have had issues in the past with people on our team doing things like people that live across the country that we don't even really know, doing things that were not good. So we would prefer if you just didn't play for us. So yeah, as long as you don't even have to be Canadian, I guess. As long as you're like a fan of the show, a fan of us, you like what we're doing, and you're a good sport, you can still go hard and win hard, and we all do. But just don't be a dick and don't do anything illegal, because we will just throw you under the bus.
Yeah. So this is the first season where we're like keeping a roster. There's no real application or anything. You just have to put CanHammer when you play ITC events and be a good sport on and off the table, and that's it. We have some Australian members and some European guys, and we made a team channel on the Discord where people can talk tactics and next tournaments and advice and stuff like that. So just trying to give a little bit of value added to being on the team, but also have it a little bit more like, okay, well, that guy did something bad, he's not on our team. We have a team roster, and so trying to make it a little bit more formal this year. And so I think it's going pretty well.
Well, that's the only exception, I think. The only new thing is that if we will be telling people not to be ranked as us, and we will email and ask Frontline or BCP or whoever to remove people from our team that are behaving poorly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's also cool because you can buy the shirts through Dream Tee. We have our objective markers. You don't need them, but they're nice to have, and it's cool. Show your support. We get a cut from those, so
we don't get too much from the objective mark. They're pretty much at cost. We get a little bit from the shirts, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's about it. And what we're going to do once people start going out to tournaments is maybe on the podcast or on the CanHammer TV, we'll start, calling out people who played and how they did and did well, and maybe get them on the show every once in a while. So kind of make it a little bit more team focused and help everybody get a little bit better.
Yeah, I definitely need to get better. That spanking I got from Siegler's Tau. Ugh, I still. Okay, I just want to talk about that because I didn't get to talk about the CanHammer team show a little
Okay,
bit.
okay. Why don't you talk about your traumatic experience with Richard Siegler?
So it wasn't traumatic. It was amazing. It's just it. This is the part that ticks me off. I took a specific unit um, for Tau drones, and it just didn't work.
Which
So I
unit was
took
that?
30 Bad Moon Shooter Boys with
Okay.
an additional 10, and then I mobbed them up, and they were supposed to go up, shoot twice, more DACA, and kill like more than 7 drones turn one, but they didn't. Yeah, I made a couple mistakes against him myself as I didn't position my boys correctly, so I could only get one unit on both objectives and one unit on kind of the second objective. Whereas if I would have positioned slightly better, I would have might got a few more points earlier on in the game. And then for some reason, I was not moving my mech guns in the right way. The way that I placed them kind of behind my boy line. I probably should have put them up on the front, but it was a good game. Like I've had relatively really good success against Tau over the last little while. I just lost one game to them with my Mega Knobs, but with my boys, I usually do quite well against Tau. So it was really good to play somebody that obviously knows what he's doing, curb stomp me. But yeah, I was kind of frustrated when I really didn't want to take the Bad Moon shooter unit that shot twice because I found they just don't do a lot and they take a lot of CP. But I was like, man, they always do well against Tau drones, and this time they did not.
They just didn't. Yeah.
They only killed like 6 or 7, didn't go well, and then.
Yeah.
But no, it was other than that. My tournament experience was really good. I got all 20s in all the rest of my games. I had a couple easy matchups, a couple harder matchups, and yeah, I think it went all in all, it was a really fun event. I was just telling you before the show, when you play 200 models, your weekend seems to go by really quickly
Yeah.
because it's like set up the army, play, set up the army, oh, put all the models away, play, and then it's next thing you know, it's midnight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. You guys were the only people to hand Charity Hammer a loss the whole weekend. Scott
Yeah,
beat
ripping.
John. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
which was really good on them. So I don't know if they were buttering us up or not. So they said that my list was one of the worst lists to pair into them. So they had 3 reds. So they apparently assumed that we were going to lead with me, which they were correct. And so they kept their only 2 greens back for me, which was Siegler and Nick. So that's apparently that was a gamble that they took or something like that, and they ended up wrecking me. So we probably shouldn't have led with me in the pairings. But to be honest, our pairings were not good against that team at all. So we felt like we were in a rough place. However,
like,
we led.
like you didn't pair well, or just in general, you guys just didn't match up well against them.
So we didn't pair well, and we didn't match up the best against them.
Yeah.
Because we had the Raven Guard Space Marine list,
Yeah.
which didn't do well against Nick's space in the mirror.
Yeah.
So when you lose the ability to put your Marines in the mirror with against Marines, well, we ended up doing it anyway, but we took a huge loss there. We had that. Their Eldar list, I think I was the only one that had that as like a decent game. But the vibro cannons are really nasty at range, and they will table people.
Yeah.
For sure. And he had the Wraith Lords too, which was interesting for countercharging. I liked that a lot.
He loves the Wraith Lords, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I'd put them in my Eldar list, but he's obviously done better than me, so what do I know? But, and then I really liked Ganyo's list, like a lot. Like, I really, really liked it. There's a few things I wish that I had more time to maybe chit-chat with him about, like, changes and why he took certain units over other ones, but I really liked the way that his Sisters of Battle with the Blood Angel kind of drop elements and able to play very cagey, very mobile. I really, really liked that list, and that's actually partially why I started assembling my Sisters. So it was a good time.
Yeah.
But
no,
their team was just more prepared than us. We struggled a lot last round against 40K Unfiltered, which was a bit of a weird one, but I thought we would have done a little bit better. But the 9 Talos, 9 Chronos list, getting a 20-0 against, the man, the legend, Jim, was painful. That was really painful because we only needed a couple points to win the round
Yeah.
from a tie. Like we were pretty comfortable going into it, but yeah, that Jim's just I don't know what happened in his game. Like he discussed it with me. It was a few weeks ago now, but I really like that 9 Talos 9 Kronos. It's right up my alley of like spam good stuff and just like throw it at people and it doesn't die. And I was like,
it's better than 6 Talos, 9 Talos.
with 9 Kronos, and I believe he did like 3 Kronos. Anyway, he did the split. So some of them had like the mortal wounds and the better wounds, but they only had the 5-up invul, and then the other ones were the standard ones you always see. So yeah, it was pretty sweet. The sisters build that I'm like the sisters are pretty neat because they can ignore rend -1 and -2. Plus they have like invul saves 5-up, 4-up across the board, which is pretty crazy for how cheap they are.
It's gross.
Like you're looking at like 50 points for 5 sisters with 2 Stormbolters. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I like also having like the Retributor squads with like the 4 heavy bolters because they can just move. So that gives them, 42-inch range. They ignore the modifier for moving and shooting heavy weapons. They have like a decent strat, but it's not great. But they're just like everything's so cheap in that book. I feel like you could just take 200 of them and call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yep, that's for sure. They're certainly tough for little T3 models.
Yeah. Well, and it's more like I just question their like what's it going to be like playing with them? They don't have the damage output, right? So you're just going to flood the board. But a lot of the new ITC missions are about flooding the board and surviving, right? So could be a thing.
For sure. I mean, the game last night was a perfect example of, do you flood the board? When do you flood the board? What risk do you take on board if you flood the board? And, so Jean flooded the board, but that gave me my opportunity to win that game. And it actually, the new missions make it a lot easier for me to score secondaries as well, being a fairly small elite army. So I managed to get up to 31 points by turn 5, which is unheard of for my army. I'm normally up to 23, 24 by the end of the game. So that was it was pretty interesting. Pretty interesting how the new secondaries play. Yeah, and lots of bonus. Every round somebody's scoring bonus, like bonus. Yeah.
Which Jean was it that you played?
Jean Messon with Guard and the Blood Angels.
Oh yeah, really? You beat him? That's a pretty big feat.
A little bit different from his CanHammer team. He was running all tanks, so I think he has 6 or 7 tank commanders or Lehman Russes. So like I just couldn't get shot or I'd be dead. So I basically didn't get shot the whole game. I was just wrapping from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. I think I got shot twice in the whole game. So nice guardsman, hugging guardsman all day. Come here, guardsman. Give me a hug.
So is that like your gaming goal kind of? Are you going for the Eldar this season or?
No, my game goal is Custodes, but I am going to be playing my Eldar because I really like that list for some reason. It's just I don't know why it is. I've always hated Eldar, probably because they spank me all the time. But I'm really just inspired to play it this season as well. So we're going to try and strike the balance between the two.
Oh, you're going for the dual faction. Cool.
I'm not trying to win anything as Eldar. I still want to do well as Custodes, but for stream for sure, I want to play some Eldar. Yeah.
Oh, you think you can go best Custodes Canadian player? Is that what you're going for?
I don't think I'm going to be able to go to enough tournaments, but I'm going to try. I mean, we're going to Stutter Snotling and hopefully make it to some P&Vs at some point finally.
Yeah. So what are you taking to Stud and Snotling?
Well, it's unlikely my book is out before then. There's a faint possibility, but unlikely. So I'm probably going to play similar list to what I played up last night. My Alaris concept.
So Eldar.
No, Custodes.
Wait, you played Custodes last night? I thought you played Eldar last night.
No, I played Custodes. My Eldar's not ready.
I'm crazy then.
It's not ready.
Yeah.
It's not ready.
Interesting. Okay, so you're going to bring Custodes. I'm thinking Orcs. Spoiler. Okay, so do we want to move on to some Q&A?
Sure. So we're talking goals. And so I asked people if they have goals. So if you're in the Discord and you have questions for the podcast or for any show, you can put them in the channel that's called Questions for Podcast, which is pretty cool because it's just a little area where we can collect questions and answer them. All right. So there's one question is, are we doing an invitational for CCBB? So we haven't decided yet. Tomorrow night's the meeting, and we'll probably make our decision tomorrow night. I want to, but I want to know that the West guys are going to come. Otherwise, it's just like the Toronto guys playing each other again, which kind of makes it pointless. So, because they're going to play each other anyway. So, if the West guys can commit to coming, like a couple of guys at least, other than Jim, then, we'll do it. And Dan is probably able to offer up cash prize for that because, to offset flight costs and stuff. So we'll see. We have to discuss that tomorrow.
That was a great noise for the radio, Darren.
Are rubrics the best dressed Marines in all of 40K? What do you think, Chris?
Best dressed Marines? Dark
dressed.
Angels, man.
Dark Angels?
They do their hair.
Yeah.
They do their hair. They put the robe on. They got like makeup. They obviously powder because nobody is that naturally that pale, right? You have to, especially when you're out like in the sun fighting. Oh yeah, space radiation.
Did you see those new Terminators from Forge World that just came
Yeah,
out?
they look wonderful.
They look amazing. I'm thinking for those for Deathwing, but
well, the Dark Angels are in an interesting place right now because your list might be pretty good. Like you got lots of speeders with lots of shots that can't be targeted because they're characters. So you take like, the Raven Guard characters and speeders, put them back there. You have Samuel. You could take like a unit of Terminators, put them forward. Not Terminators, the Knights, Deathwing Knights, to kind of absorb the shots, or you don't need to. You could just use the 3 Niflheim jet fighters or whatever they are.
Yeah.
They'll be up forward, so you're not going to get your character shot.
Yeah.
A list of Dark Angels just won a tournament. I'm not sure like how competitive that tournament was, but he had 9 eliminators and a lot of cool stuff. So I think the Dark Angels are in a really good place. Not Iron Hands good, but yeah.
Yeah, I think they got some play for sure.
It was kind of frustrating. Well, while you're reading the next question, it was kind of frustrating to see Iron Hands won all the big tournaments.
Yep. Again, still.
Yeah.
Before Tom goes, he wants to know if you're looking forward to Austria.
Oh, yeah. We haven't gotten to that yet, but yeah.
Let's talk about that.
I am. So, yeah, there's a couple. So, ETC news.
WTC.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. WTC news. They've actually selected the country. So, there's 3 bids. I know there was like a voting process when we split where it was like, which country would you prefer? But they weren't serious bids. And so the final serious bids were Spain, Austria, and Greece. They were the 3 kind of finalists, I guess you could say. Austria won. So I'm pretty excited about that. I enjoyed my time in Austria when I was there before on vacation. The first time I went to the ETC, actually. And so the WTC being there should be pretty good, pretty interesting. It's in a smaller town, and there might be a little bit of travel, like 10, 20 minutes from different hotels and venues, but there's supposed to be a lot of bars. It's supposed to be like a university town. Very nice. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that. Same date, which is huge. Really good. One of the best parts now is when the WTC split, 40K left the ETC, whatever, it kind of put us in limbo. Like we knew we were going to go. We knew the team was going to go. We were ready to go. But you kind of start going like, nobody can buy their tickets. And, nobody really, we don't have a hotel booked. And it's getting closer to the summertime, right? And usually you want to plan a European vacation well in advance. But, plus there's the coronavirus going on right now. So there's just a lot of weird things. And we've had some issues in our country with like rail stoppages and there's just a lot of bad news right now. So it was just kind of a dampener. And then now that it's like, okay, it's in Austria, we can start committing. I could start looking at like where I want to go for vacation prior to it and stuff like that is kind of nice.
Well, I got to tell people like summertime is not too close or not too far away for coronavirus to still be a thing. SARS was like 9-10 months. It's just hitting Italy, Austria, Europe right now. We have booked our big 2-week vacation at the end of August in Italy, and that's at risk. So, that kind of puts a damper in WTC planning. I mean, right in the middle of Austria, that could be coronavirus central. You never know.
Well, I think once they determined that it wasn't airborne, it's kind of toned down a bit. It's not spreading as fast, and the death rate is much lower than SARS. So
Yeah, for sure.
anyway, okay, I am pumped for Austria, but yeah, it was kind of delayed. And one thing that was funny is we ordered Canadian dice, and we put it to Maple Leaf like last year, but we added the year to them. And I think one of the prototypes was, do we put ETC 2020? Thank God we didn't, because the dice came in and they just said 2020 on them, and I was like, woo, dodge that bullet. Imagine if we would have put ETC on it and ordered 500 dice.
I'll have some. I'll have some. They could be like miscasts.
So, and then the rest of the ETC news is we selected our final teammate.
Yes.
Yeah, Jim Vessel from
Jim Vessel.
Vancouver. He'll round out the playing members of our team, and I think we might have already announced that. But anyway, it's it was on the Facebook group and all that anyway. But it's pretty exciting to have a full team with a coach, and there's a few things that we're looking into right now. But we were kind of waiting for the news about Austria before we even looked into maybe having a second coach or anything like that.
Sure.
So
for sure. So Yoshi wants to know how we're liking Grey Knights.
So I love them. I think they're fantastic.
They're really good.
They're scary.
Gross good.
This is the thing that it really sucks for me, I guess, is if they put a paladin unit in a ruin pretty far away, they can like shoot off an orc unit every turn, and I can't charge them because they just kill my orc units on the charge. They also have a ridiculous amount of storm bolters, a ridiculous amount of smites. They're terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't know how well they're going to counter Iron Hands. I know they're going to counter Chaos, but I don't think Chaos was really like the be all end all like it used to be. So there's definitely one build that's screaming for the Grey Knights, and maybe that one build will get nerfed or something like that, and they won't be as kind of scary. But
the double paladin.
Yeah, it's double paladins. One of them moves out, shoots, moves back in. One of them shoots through the walls. Strike squads, you're doing a bajillion wounds on smite if you want to, but you actually don't even need to be out of line of sight. So you can just chill them in. You have some mobility. You have some like survivability, and nobody can touch them. It's like their shooting units outshoot a lot of army shooting units. Don't need line of sight. And they can't be charged. So like when you play against the Hive Guard, they're similar. They can shoot twice. They ignore line of sight. Blah, blah, blah. I think they do like a lot less damage, or a little bit less damage anyway than a Paladin unit shooting. But you could charge them. You could wrap them. You can tie them up. You can't do that with Paladins because he'll just jump them out. Yeah, he'll just jump them out.
Smite you to death in their psychic phase. There's so many ways they can kill you, yeah.
But even if you did, let's say, put 2 units of boys in and you were, like, wrapped them, he could just, like, move them out, so.
Yeah, they can gate and stuff.
Yeah, so it's like, I find them, they're going to change the game for sure. Yeah. And the awesome part is like, they're obviously sold out everywhere. You can't get the models. Like, they're really sold out. It's a low model count army, super fairly cheap. Like the kits aren't that expensive. You're looking at maybe like $300-400 to really buy like a full 2K army. It's so few models. You could easily build it up in a weekend, like spend 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, assemble the whole thing.
Spray bomb it silver, wash no
Spray bomb it silver. Yeah, maybe like tint it a bit blue, give it a dry brush, paint some details. You're done. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I think you're going to see a lot of them right away.
Yeah, it's gross.
Actually, the only reason you might not see ridiculous amounts of them is that they're sold out.
Yeah. We've already seen people converting Deathwatch into Grey Knights because people used to do the reverse, Grey Knights into Deathwatch. Yeah. All right, so we asked for people for their goals. So Austin McMurdy, who just recently joined the CanHammer team, welcome, Austin. He is building and competing Pure Custodes. Nice.
Oh wow! So he's going for you.
He's going for me. He's coming for me. Nick wants to do Grey Knights to hit top 100 ITC.
Nick who?
Nick Blackburn.
That's a good army to try that with.
Yeah.
I think you'd be better off doing Iron Hands and Grey Knights + playing Iron Hands till they get nerfed and then going Grey Knights. But I think a lot of people are confident that the Grey Knights will trump the Iron Hands, but I don't know yet.
We'll see. We'll see. Sharonin, who's out in Chicago area, he wants to go to his first ITC tournament, so that's cool.
Oh, that's good.
And Luri Faxer recently joined the Custodians Discord, wants to get a 2,000 point army done and go to any tournament. Random Scrub, of course, wants to actually start going to tournaments with his Custodies. Techno Kid wants to attend his first IGC tournament and beat Alex McDougall at the same time.
That's a pretty lofty goal.
It's a lofty goal, but you got to set your goal somewhere.
Yeah, you got to set them high. You know, if you set your goal for the sun, at least you'll accomplish great things. You might not reach it, but that's kind of the two thoughts with goals. Like I know some people set goals like that are very easy. And they just kind of achieve them all the time. And some people like to set like really lofty, really far-fetched goals, like kind of like me, like, I'm going to paint every orc model I own this year. That's not going to happen, but at least you're going for something hard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, so that's like, I guess my kind of thought is like, is the goal to be top 100 ITC or is the goal to win the ITC? Like, are you better off just like going for the win and then being disappointed and being like, I'm okay with 98th? Or is it like, do you go for 98th? And then like, what happens if you get 102?
I don't know.
Like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, how do you set a goal?
Depends on your mindset. Depends if you're an optimist or a pessimist.
Or a realist.
A realist, like, I think, it's all good saying that you're going to win the ITC, but if that clearly is not going to be something that's going to happen, it's kind of pointless setting that goal.
Because I thought about this a lot when we did our CanHammer team show with Nick. I don't go into any tournament. So if you go like, sometimes I'll say it on the podcast, but I'm kind of lying, is I believe that if I was to go to LVO, I might say like, I'll be happy with 5-1, but I'm going to get 6-0 and go on. You know what I mean? Like that's my goal. Like, so when I go to an event, my goal is first.
Yeah.
I might be like okay with like I don't know. I have trouble setting like a goal of like, I just want to be like top 10 or 20. Like I might say that as like, that'd be okay, but my ultimate goal is always first.
Yeah. You're just a winner.
No, I just believe in that, right? That if you want something, you have to you just have to go for it, right?
Yeah. Okay, what's more advantageous now, going first or second?
In ITC?
ITC, yeah. Formerly going second. For sure, because you get to know how much you need for kill more and hold more and possibly bonus, because most of the things are end of round, and if you're going at the end of round, then and you also got the very last turn. But now with the automatic like knowing if you're going first, no seizing, and if you play Alpha Strike, there's a definite advantage to knowing that. Does that outweigh the advantages of going second is the question. I don't know if we know yet.
So do you want the bullshit answer for that question?
Yeah.
Here's the bullshit real answer. Okay. Is going first or second better? Depends on what your army is. Depends on their army. Depends on your list. Depends on their list. Depends on the terrain. Depends on the deployment. Depends on the mission.
Yeah.
It's something that you need to learn by playing reps and playing games. You play 200 games, hey, if I go first against Sisters of Battle, I win. If I go second, I lose 8 out of 10 times. And you just need to know that, and you need to just prepare for that, because some armies, like it might be for the mission. If I'm playing my orcs against like certain Iron Hand builds, I just need to go first.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if the mission says you get 100 points a turn for going second. It doesn't matter. I need to go first, or he's going to table my ass.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I approach it. Is when you go up, you have to just know like how hard is this guy going to hit me if he goes first. And now, luckily, like you might not have that choice because it's one die roll essentially. So you'll kind of see how it goes, but like some of these armies put out so much firepower that going second, unless you're freaking built to hide and and you have really good terrain, you're just screwed.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Like Cody's Iron Hand flyer list, for example. If that list goes first, it's like you can't hide. Well, you can hide if you have certain stuff, but it's really challenging to
It's
hide against that
hard
list.
against so many flyers. Yeah.
Yeah, and they just come in and they just go gone. You lose like 2-3 units. My segs go and they just die, and it is what it is.
So another Nick, had a question about he's looking to go to some bigger tournaments this year, and just wondering what he needs to transport his army.
Ooh, good question.
I think you could almost do a whole cast on options for transporting your army, but yeah,
So the bullshit answer is,
it depends.
what's
on
in
your
the army?
Yeah.
What kind of tanks? How many vehicles do you have? So I have transferred an army in a cardboard box with blue tack, and I had the army kind of just sitting blue tack to the bottom of a cardboard box on an airplane that I carried on. I've done cardboard boxes with foam in them. I've done battle foam cases. I would say like the Cadillac is the battle foam. Like that, you just feel safe. You put all your stuff in it. It's great. I've had really good success with the big like double tier GW case, but those you can't buy anymore. The newer GW cases are okay depending on the height of your models.
Yeah.
Some of the new models with the really long weapons, you have to lay them down in it, and then they take up way too much space.
Yeah, and there's a risk of snapping, and yeah. I only have battle foam, and I like battle foam because they have molds for everything. Like, it's rare that you have to pluck your own thing, and you can design your own so you can fit way more in it than the standard ones they design. They're nice bags. You can clip extra bags on the side for dice and stuff like that. And most, like the smaller ones, fit and carry on. And if
You have to know what you're playing, though. Like, that's the only issue I'd say with battle foam is like you just need to know what you're playing.
Exactly.
So for me, I know that at most events, can you hear that static?
Nope.
Okay. I just know that for most events, I need like to bring, I'd say 150 boys. So I bought the big infantry trays from Battle Foam. I need to bring a couple hundred grots. So I brought the grot trays. They all fit in it. And then the rest I keep in a box, all my mech guns. So
Yeah. So there's lots of options out there. There's the ones that are like hardcover with like trays that are magnetic. You have to magnetize all your bases. I guess there's a likelihood that some of the magnets might fail, and those things are going to go flying around.
TJ carried on his Chaos Army, which is gorgeous, in one of those magnet boxes, and he took it all the way from the USA to Serbia. So
yeah. So it also depends if you're driving or if you're flying. If you're driving, that's easy. You don't need anything. If you're, flying is where the tricky part comes in, really. So yeah, there's lots of different ways. I don't know if this one is better than the other. It just kind of depends on your army. Yeah.
Well, army budget.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, do I eat for a month or do I buy a battle foam case? Maybe you eat for a month. Unless you're me, then you don't eat for a month because you need to lose the weight. But
Yeah, I'm happy with that with the battle foam. But yeah, you do have to know what you're playing, and then so I have like a whole bunch of different foams for, let's say, just use my Custodes army. They're mostly bike cutouts, but then you can fit 3 dudes with some extra pieces of foam in a bike cutout when you're not using bikes. So, and that transport's fine. I went to Seattle with that. So, you can adapt it, but you do end up collecting bunches and bunches of foam, but then you end up using the foam as storage too if you don't have like a display cabinet or something. So that's another thing you can use with it. So, but you do end up collecting, like a whole corner of my room there's just foam. Most of it just empty. So
KR multi-case is popular as well.
Yeah. Because they do hard, right? They do hard cases.
They do lots of different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they're a bit cheaper, but they're not as quality. I don't really know. Cool. So next one.
And I think that's it, actually. That's
Woo! It. Pretty good. Thanks for your questions. I think that's it for me, too. I don't have much else to add. I'm super psyched for the Orcs Psychic Awakening book and the new Gazgul model. I can't freaking wait.
Nobody's seen it yet, though.
That's the weird part. Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
You're going to get the little, like, grot banner dude who has, like, a 2-up invuln?
What do you think?
Probably.
Yes, I am. Oh yes. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes with Gazgul.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure he does actually comes with them, but I don't know for sure
Yeah.
actually.
I don't know
So
the fluff behind that, but it seems like those two guys go together.
so I'm excited for that Psychic Awakening for the orcs, just because it'd be nice to get some kind of boost. I don't know. It feels like everybody else is getting boosts except for the Tyranids, and I would like some as well. Actually, Tyranids got a boost. It was GSC that didn't, but I would like just some kind of way to make Goths better. Strength 5 orcs just excites me a little bit, and being able to take Gazgo would be really huge because he just does a lot more for the army. I've even been thinking about putting him in my list anyway, just because he hits so hard, right? Because now the index is officially gone in ITC, you can't really take the War Boss's mega armor, so you need something to kind of go into a building and cut Terminators in half. But he still can't fight Paladins,
Nope.
so it's kind of a moot point there. But
Yeah.
I need something.
Paladins
And
are a real problem. Real problem. -1 to wound, transhuman,
yeah, so they were pointed appropriately, and then they got a huge point drop in the chapter approved,
and now they got a whole crap ton of
and now
rules.
they got a crap ton of rules they didn't need.
It's
they
just like
they
Marines.
yeah, they got the double not nerf bat. What's the opposite of a nerf bat?
Buff bat. Is
Buff
there a
bat.
buff bat? Is there such a thing as a buff bat?
They got the double buff bat, which is disturbing. But so yeah, I'm really looking forward to the orcs. I'm hoping they get because they just got really nothing in chapter approved. So if we get a couple boosts,
So what do you think you're going to get? You're probably going to get a page or two of make your own chapter, probably, right? Because you've got a big enough book to do that.
I would like some way to use Goth strats and also get my +1 to charge. I don't need +1 to move and advance necessarily. I just need the +1 to charge. So I would like some way to make it like a Goth successor, so I can go +1 charge and strength 5. Maybe that. And then also maybe additional attacks in combat on 6s, or who knows. But something like that. It'd be neat. It'd be neat to kind of have maybe something that lets non-Bad Moon units shoot twice, so that way I don't need to take a Bad Moon detachment if I want to take something like Tank Busters, but I don't think they'll do that. But really, the orcs don't need a lot. It's a very nice book, very effective. It's just there's a couple outliers that are giving everybody trouble.
Yeah, and I think with the emphasis on board control in the new ITC, I think going to do pretty well with just a whole bunch of bodies, especially T4 bodies.
The orc lists have been doing well. Just been a lot of Storm Boys. They seem to be really hot now, just because they've always been really good, but they have more of a place now. So
yeah,
we'll see. But people are going 190 boys now, like boys and Storm Boys, and that's fun, but it's also 190 boys, right?
God.
But
oh man.
But I think it'll be good. It'd be nice if, I don't know, maybe something did affect Grots, or maybe some kind of Grot clan trait.
Other than being shields.
Would be neat. Like, a lot of people are going for the Grot carpet lists, but I find them just a little bit lackluster. Like, Grots just die way too quickly, and I know you have like 300 of them, but then people just start pushing units into them. Like, when you have all Grots, any unit is now a combat unit against you.
Yeah. Like
Sisters of Battle are just going to run at you and charge your Grots. Like it's kind of a weird thing, but
like even guardsmen would just wreck your Grots.
Yeah. I would like more combat focus. Something like I want something that I can reach out and just pound something, right? Like, I don't know what that is. The Mega Knobs don't do it. Like, they need a boost of some kind. Like, maybe Gazgul can upgrade, like can take like a super unit of Mega Knobs that are like ridiculous, like toughness 5 and I don't know, 2-up invols or something crazy. I don't know.
Now you're really wish listing.
Well, even like being able to call a Wah, like in the old book, would be nice. Like, we were talking about that the other day, is like, if Gazgul calls a Wah, he used to have a 2-up invol save for that turn. That alone would be pretty awesome, because then you could like shove them in there, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of cool things that they could do, but I guess we'll wait and see. And I'm hoping that if they do the new Gazgul model, he's amazing. Like he has to be Primarch level, and hopefully a force multiplier.
Do you think he'll be bigger?
I don't care about size because he's obviously a character. Sorry, I can't actually silence my phone because I dropped it, and that functionality broke. But I actually don't get Wi-Fi either anymore. But I think like right now he's a pretty good force multiplier. But the only thing that he gives that really a regular war boss doesn't give is +1 attack bubble in combat. But when you're fighting things like paladins, it doesn't matter anyway. Have an extra attack on those models. So it'd be nice to have something additional that he does and he brings to the field or brings to the boys to make it effective. I know a lot of people online are saying that they absolutely do not want that because they find, boys are already good and they're already kind of boring. But I just think if you make the standard orcs better, it'll just be more fun for me. So
More fun for you. I know our guys are really looking forward to, we think, Thursday, when there may be a leakage of rules for these 2 new HQs from this Black Library celebration. The
oh yeah,
as I call him, Christopher Walken Custodes, because he looks like Christopher Walken, and the Sisters of Silence HQ, their first HQ ever.
oh wow.
So we'll see. They hinted at the bottom of their post today that we would be getting rules previews for them later this week. So, and of course they're out on Saturday. So we'll see what this guy
What
ends
do you
up.
what do you think the Custodies and the Sisters of Silence are going to get out of Psychic Awakening, or what do you think they
Oh,
need?
well, I've published a whole predictions document. But
But like, what or wish list even? Like, what does Custodies need to be good right now?
we
What do
need
they
to
need
be
to fight Grey Knights?
we
Because Grey
well,
Knights will fuck you, right?
yeah, I don't think we can fight Grey Knights
Pardon my
unless.
language, but it's appropriate.
Yeah, so I think we are going to get something like Tides for Grey Knights. We're going to get 3 or 4 kind of doctrines. I'm calling them martial disciplines that we can use. And then maybe the new Christopher Walken guy makes us switch it once a game or something. Or a stratagem lets you do that. I think we don't have enough models or a big enough codex to get, like, make your own chapter or whatever. I think we're just going to get 3 or 4 things like Grey Knights. And then the big rumor is that, and now that there's a Sisters HQ coming, that we are going to be able to take Sisters without wrecking our allegiance stuff. Take them
Makes
as traits
sense.
or as elites. And if we can take Sisters, that gives us cheaper CP, and also that gives us some okay psychic defense, right? Because they got all the like -2 bubbles or whatever.
Well, even if you just
Stack
had
bubbles.
there's so much psychic defense nowadays too, man.
Not enough. Like an Inquisitor, like 1 deny, 2 denies, big deal. Collects is so easy to get around. So there's not really that much that we have access to. And our 6-up Feel No Pain is definitely not protection. So if we get Sisters, that'd be nice. Otherwise, we just need to be tougher, man. We need either strats or rules to make us tougher, because we're just too few models and too easy to kill right now.
I don't know if you're that easy to kill.
Or very easy to kill.
You're just too few models.
Like, even freaking tank shocking me yesterday did 6 mortal wounds. That was like 3 models dead. So it's like,
If you guys had maybe a little bit more ranged killy power, I think like the Custodies kind of dropped in power level when they got rid of a lot of their long range shooting, or they nerfed it a little bit.
Well, they nerfed the Cladius and the Telemon all at once. So
That's the thing, yeah, because the Custodies, like, it's a shooting game. You need good shooting so that stuff doesn't kill you back.
yeah, yeah. So the Cladius was in his day, but now there's so much anti-vehicle out there that
Oh, yeah.
the Cladius just dies. Like, it's got a 5 invo, but still it just melts. So it's actually more of a liability now. But yeah, so we need to be tougher, and yeah, because right now it's like you can only win by hiding and being very smart and trying to just eke your points and keep it close while you're hiding.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's just the way the game is.
Yeah.
That's good. Cool. So anyway, anything else you want to add?
No, I just want to mention to people that there will be, so our CCBB meeting is tomorrow night, so there will be details over the next week or 2 about CCBB and when registrations will open. Some people have already sent me registration money. Please don't do that until I put out the call for registration.
Yeah, we won't sell out like that quickly.
Yeah. It's not like It's not like LVO, like it's, like you'll have time, so you don't need to send me registrations right now. We'll announce it. It'll all be up. Don't worry. And so probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're gonna get everything rolling. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, don't
Yeah.
send me registrations right now.
There's a chance we'll have a whole bunch of our standardized tables for that too. So,
Oh yeah.
well, we don't know yet, but Jason's working on it.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But that would be just it's just more tables, right? So
Yep. Yep.
more people.
Yep. For sure. With Dan's tables now, we could be pretty big this year.
Yeah, but it's too close to ETC. So
That's like 8 people.
8 important people and 9 important people.
Hey, a bunch of those guys still came last year.
I know. Anyway, with that, have a good one.
All right. Good night.